this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a central error handler like this in n8n with Slack notification, Gmail, and database logging using Redis to dedupe keys so you don't get spammed with messages. This is an example of an instance level error handling in n8n. n8n has instance level error handling, workflow level, and node level error handling. This is an important part for error handling in n8n because if you want to, let's say, send a Slack message every time you get an error, you would need a bunch of Slack nodes in every single one of your workflows to notify you whenever there's an error or something like that. Whereas in this case, you can point as many error nodes, you can point as many workflows as you want at this error handler, and it will just automatically handle them. You could point 100 workflows at this, and it would handle all your errors. And so if we go over here to this broken workflow, this workflow is going to fail. And if with no error handling, you would have no way to know that it failed. There could be, and it could fail for any reason. You could go into your executions and you would see what would happen. But if you want to be notified right away when a failure happens, you execute it, it fails, nothing happens. You get the notification in n8n, but you have to be in n8n to actually see that error. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to settings, and we've got this right here, error workflow. So you want to set that to your central error handler, and you're going to save it. And now when we run this again, it will actually send to the central error handler. And the reason that it does that is because we have this node here, the error trigger, set up at the start. So now this will execute because it will receive that error, and it will go through the process. Take a look at the executions here. Hopefully it showed up. Sometimes it takes a second. And while that's running, I'll just kind of show you what happens. So you'll go in and you'll receive a notification kind of like this one, exactly like this one actually, because this was a test from before. And you'll see it'll go right to your Slack. You'll get workflow failed. It'll tell you which workflow, which node, what the error was. This is good because you could have a team of people, or even if it's just yourself, get a notification like this in your alerts channel and an email, and log into a database, which is important as well for the future pattern tracking. This is taking a while, so I'll show you the database as well. This is an example of what the database would look like. So you've got, again, all this data, super useful for pattern tracking over time. You can check which workflows break the most, what nodes are failing, what kind of error messages you're receiving. You can make adjustments to your workflows as you need to based on that. And yeah, it's taking a while. Sometimes it does. This is an example of one that executed multiple times. So if an error message, if a node is failing repeatedly, maybe it's in a loop or it's something that's being called over and over again, then you'll get something like this where Redis will check if the key already exists, and then if it does, it will just kill the workflow. So if say you've got a workflow running once a minute and every single time it's failing, then you'll just repeatedly get notifications, emails. So you want to set up Redis to work as a deduplication so you're not getting spammed over and over again. So I'll go through the flow quickly here. First off, you've got the error trigger. It doesn't have any parameters. It just activates one of the workflows that's pointed at it, has an error. Then we want to extract some fields. We take the workflow name, the node that failed. When it comes through with the JSON, it actually comes across as last node executed, but that would be the failed. That would be the node that failed. You get the error message. You want to timestamp it. You generate your dedupe key. I do this with just the name of the workflow and the last node that was executed. So then we move on to Redis. This one, you'll just have to set up your Redis credentials. And you just want to get, because we're checking to see if the key already exists. So your key is just your dedupe key. And then if that exists, it will return the key. And this will check, the if node will check if the property name is empty. So if it's empty, that means there's no key with that dedupe key, which means it will say true, or we'll say if it is empty. No, if it's empty, if it's not empty, that means the key is already in there and the error already happened. And you can set that based on whatever you want. So when we go to the set node, you've got the dedupe key as the key. That's what you're setting, and just the value can be whatever. And then you want to set it to expire. So this will be the amount of time before you get notified about the same error. So this is TTL 1800, that's 30 minutes. You can set it to whatever you want. You can set it to 1 minute if you want to, but this just sets it so that after 30 minutes, if the error is happening over and over again, the key will expire, and then it will send you another notification. So you could continue getting notifications if it's something that hasn't been fixed yet. You can set that to whatever you want. You can set it to an hour. You can set it to 5 minutes. Personal preference. And then we move on. This, you can pretty much do whatever you want with afterwards in terms of notifying. You could send WhatsApp message. You could send anything. In this one, I decided to go with Slack. It's pretty simple. You just set up a send operation to a channel, have a designated channel for your errors. That will send workflow. You just send a couple pieces of data that are useful. So the workflow, which node failed, the error message, time that it failed at. I also had in a Gmail, which does kind of the same thing. Set a subject, message, you're good. And then the database is also an important part, sometimes overlooked with a flow like this, where this just uses Postgres, but send some data to a Supabase or a database, anything, and just track some basic stuff, the name, the node, the error message, when it occurred. And that's useful because over time, this will build up and will be a kind of you can track patterns of what's failing. So, workflow, name, you can check which workflows failed the most, check which node is failing the most, what the most common error message is. And that way, when you build new flows, you can check them, you can build them around that, whatever is failing, And so this is pretty important part of error handling in n8n production level flows. You're going to want something like this because then if a client, something breaks, they don't know what's wrong, you want to fix it quickly. So with something like this, you get notified right away. You can go and you can fix it. Otherwise, something will break silently. You won't know what it is. If you're managing 100 workflows and one of them is failing, you don't know necessarily where something is going wrong unless you have one of these. So if you want to check it out, the JSON is going to be in the description. Thanks for watching.